Human trafficking is a prevalent threat in Texas, but this session, state lawmakers are making plans to take new steps to fight the problem. There are bills filed in both chambers with support from both Democrats and Republicans. But a key part of stopping the problem relies on the actions and awareness of Texans like you. And as Wes Rapaport shows us, there are new efforts to get all of us to pay attention to the problem.
Agents with the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission train by conducting pretend raids on pretend bars believed to be involved in trafficking. The reason is rooted in reality.
Although we have a lot of good folks in the business, about 60% of all human trafficking is somehow connected to a TABC licensed premise.
Its executive director wants to add to the 225 agents across 254 counties. But the TABC was one of the state agencies directed by the governor to cut its budget because of shortfalls related to the pandemic.
Doesn't take a lot of math wizard to realize that we're pretty stretched pretty thin. And we regulate 56,000 locations.
That means TABC must rely on the observations of everyday Texans even more. So during the course of their inspections, agents train private citizens to take action.
A human trafficker or a victim, they might go to a convenience store, they might stop at a gas station that sells alcohol, they might go to a restaurant.
To raise awareness, the Bullock Museum here in Austin is displaying an exhibit through May with videos and artifacts to show signs of trafficking and support survivors. They reflect on the stories of people like Allison Franklin. Abused as a child, she ran away from home and lived on the streets as a preteen. She went home with a man who wielded his power and control.
We moved money, we moved guns, we moved cars, we moved people, including grooming me to recruit other women to be trafficked as well.
Look at the problem from a victim's perspective, how we can solve it and help to get them out of that lifestyle.
Along with victim-focused solutions, Houston-based United Against Human Trafficking pushes for a multi-pronged approach.
We work very hard to increase penalties for buyers. We work very hard to equip people who are out fighting human trafficking. But really, all of that could be taken care of if the demand was reduced.
The group estimates Houston has an average of 2,800 sex buyers per day, and there are more than 234,000 labor trafficking victims in Texas.
Making that connection that I was a victim of trafficking makes me angry, but it also gives me hope that we have an opportunity to stand up and be active bystanders or just recognize our role that we all have room in this fight.
Throughout the month of January, we've seen different ways people are highlighting human trafficking efforts across the Lone Star State. In Lubbock, for example, we've seen a unique idea called the Texas Blue Sand Project. People in West Texas laying blue sand on the cracks of sidewalks. Josh, it's a way that people are trying to raise that extra awareness and get their neighbors to pay attention to.
And it seems like Texas lawmakers are also paying attention. What bills do they have that are aimed at human trafficking this session?
Well, they are wide-ranging. Some of them range from creating harsher penalties for people caught trafficking to requiring some businesses to audit supply chains to check for forced labor, even adding information to driver's ed courses.
Wes, the legislature has a lot on its plate this session. Do any of these human trafficking efforts have a chance of passing?
It's still too early to say at this point. What's encouraging from lawmakers is this is coming from members on both sides of the aisle, but they do have a lot of other issues that they need to address: education, handling COVID, and jobs, just to name a few. But the governor has signaled support for human trafficking measures in the past. He signed bills last session to combat human trafficking, and the Texas Homeland Security Strategic Plan lists human trafficking as a criminal threat to address.
All right, we'll keep an eye out. Thanks, Wes. When people in Texas file complaints about racial profiling, it's rare to get results. We reveal why proving an accusation is almost impossible. A failure to report, our ongoing investigation coming up.
You know, I think people have recognized the shortcomings of the Republican Party and where it stands today.
Texas is a red state, but are there changes on the horizon? How shifting politics in other states could affect the balance of power in the Lone Star State?